just got an inside look at the Colts draft plan, what they're thinking, what they should be doing, and what's being heard around the NFL when it comes to the Indianapolis Colts, which means we're going to talk about it here on Colts Talk. ESPN specifically had a double hitter for each team about what the draft plan is and what they're hearing around that draft plan as of right now. You know what? Let's not mess around. Let's get right into it. Stephen Holder of ESPN talking about the Colts. It's not ideal, but the lack of a first-round choice feels manageable because the focus of this draft should be building depth. Injuries buried the Colts last season, and the draft provides an opportunity to select backstops at positions like edge rusher, cornerback, and offensive line. The Colts still need impact players on defense, but building depth is a more reasonable goal in 2026. Here's your opportunity. Here's how you can build your depth. 7 total 2026 draft picks. No first rounder. We'll get to that in just a second here. We've recently learned the compensatory picks around 6, 7 there. So the Colts will have 7 opportunities like Stephen Holder talked about. Stephen Holder thinks it's going to be about depth. For a win-now team that saw injuries last season, you got to build some depth. And before we get more into the depth side of things, I do want to acknowledge and talk for a second about no first rounder, not having a first rounder. And if you're living under an Indianapolis rock, why they don't have a first rounder, the great Sauce Gardner acquired at the trade deadline last year. That was for 2 first rounders, including this year and next year, and Adonai Mitchell, the wide receiver there. I've been always terrible with pronouncing his name. So the Colts took a big swing, and I know this is more of an NBA theme, but there is an age-old saying, when you trade your first rounders for a player, you need to mentally lock in that's your first rounder. Right? So the night of the draft, I know it's less exciting, it's not as fun. When you're sitting there, when you're watching, Colts fans, Sauce Gardner is your first round pick, right? For whatever it's worth, for however you feel about Sauce Gardner, he is your first rounder. Some, hey, you get a number 1 corner that can help you right away. For others, you got injuries with the issue stuff, the consistency stuff. There's also the money attached. I don't know. It's kind of a split. Or maybe it doesn't have to be. We'll ask you guys. Grade the trade for Sauce Gardner so far. We got a while to go on that one. A, B, C, D, or F. Give the Sauce Gardner trade a grade so far in the comment section down below. So, the plan to build depth and use a draft like this with no first rounder to build depth, I know for a lot of you is not as fun, or doesn't make sense, or the whole idea of it is just a little wishful thinking, right, in general. I think last season the Colts actually built some depth. Now, how much depth, how much one guy should give you and not give you, that is debatable, and I completely understand that. I look across the board here at the 2025 draft picks for the Colts. These boys are playing. They are playing on your team, especially, I got to shout out Justin Wally. Kenny Moore's out. You're up, big dog. Get in there, right? A year later, after taking Wally in the 3rd round, he could be your starting nickelback. Jalen Travis is expected to be your starting right tackle a year later. How many of you believe a 4th rounder is going to play this quickly? Some not. Now, you do have opportunities and depth and impact in the debate between those two things with a guy like JT, 2nd rounder, and now you're still kind of looking for an edge rusher, right, at this point in time. So you do have picks like that. I mean, Riley Leonard played in games. DJ Giddens got opportunities and could still have opportunities, but has also had disappointed at times. Hunter Wooler with some changes at safety. He's going to have to step up and play. To think you can't build depth or get players that are going to have to play at every single round of the draft. Come on now, look at this group and what they're doing for you right now. So Stephen Holder hitting on depth. We get to another side of things. Jordan Reid, also with ESPN. He talked a little bit about what he's hearing around the Indianapolis Colts. And we are getting back to a familiar name for Indy. Reid is hearing the the Colts linked. I was thinking Cincinnati here. They're linked to Jake Golday in this situation. He said, I'd be stunned if they didn't have a linebacker at the top of their priority list in the 2nd round, is what one league source told me when discussing the Colts. Jake Golday was mentioned as a round 2 pick. He fits the prototype and qualities that the team has targeted in that position in past drafts. So let's think about this with Golday, right? How many? I mean, we may be going on, I'm trying to think, a month and a half. We've been linking Golday to the Colts. I think video 2 of this channel, we were talking Jake Golday fitting in well with the Colts. Processing speed in 2025, really, really great. We got our scouting reports fresh for you here on Colts Talk. Yeah, you want a little more size with a guy like this, but he stepped up in 2025, had a good 2025. And look, with these smaller linebackers, anytime a linebacker's a little smaller, bright side Billy here, I just try to immediately go good coverage fast, right? So, yeah, maybe he needs to put some weight on, but you probably have a speedy coverage guy, which I think Jake Golday's been pretty solid in coverage during his time in college, and we've ran through a million times with these stats. This guy is a player, what he did at Cincinnati, but time and time again now, it's not just us pitching you on Jake Golday. It is sources around the league saying at 47, the Colts are looking linebacker, and the Colts are looking Jake Golday. The question overall, though, the man in charge, Chris Ballard. What is your confidence level in Chris Ballard? Don't grade it, scale it. 1 to 10, 1, no confidence whatsoever. 10, Chris will get it done. Let us know down below. So, yes, Golday is the link, right, for the Colts overall. We've talked a lot of Golday in general, but the good thing for the Colts, in case something happens, in case your plan changes, or for you guys, if you hear another name, be ready to go because there are other linebacker options. Actually, a lot of linebacker options. It's a pretty good class, and weirdly, like it's a good class in the second round, in that later first round. The Colts are going to have options. It begins with Jacob Rodriguez. Ladies and gentlemen, a Heisman finisher as a linebacker in today's college football. Not easy to do in question. The combine was a very big deal for him. He performed very well because a lot of people were just like, hey, this is a bruising football guy, not necessarily an athlete, so on and so forth. I always thought that was weird because he was a quarterback going into college, so the transitional linebacker told me athletic, and then he hit the combine and is like, all right, what are we talking about here? Also have Anthony Hill Jr. You guys know I've let you know if you have fast forward or rewind, beginning of the college football season, Anthony Hill Jr. was going to be a 15, 16, mid-first round pick. You can say what you want about a drop, but you should be getting that sort of talent at 47 in Anthony Hill Jr., so you like that idea. And then more of a fun one, hard-hitting dude, fast dude, get to the ball and knock your helmet off, Josiah Trotter. Hey, Chris Ballard wants to get younger and faster. I think this is a guy that absolutely could do it for you. I'm looking at these guys. I'm looking at what we're talking about. Instant impact, right? Jordan Reid's talking about from ESPN. Linebacker. I'm sold. I'm thinking linebacker at 47. That's where I'm at right now because we've been talking about need. You hear about depth from Stephen Holder. You hear about the other positions, the other spots. Hey, Kenny Moore is on the trade block now. You may really need a nickel corner. ESPN gave us their top 3 needs not too long ago for the Colts going into the draft. I'm on linebacker. I'm all linebacker. I want linebacker. A, because of the names there, and I like all those guys, and I'd be happy with any of those guys, to be honest. I like Golday most, but obviously I'd like any of those guys. And B, no shade to anybody on the group here, but man, the Colts have to upgrade at linebacker. You have to get better at linebacker. This is a notch below mediocre group is where I would put it. So you can come up with your own word for what they have here. Kim Davis-Gaither is an experienced guy. Ajik is a guy they're trying to develop here in Indianapolis, but these are not starting NFL linebackers anymore. Maybe Akeem Davis-Gaither is, maybe, but you need a Jake Golday. You need a Jacob Rodriguez. You need the next generation at linebacker right now. And again, the word instant impact, very important to me with that pick number 47 specifically. Great stuff today on Colts Talk. Did want to take the opportunity as we finish out here. We are rising in subs. Oh, mid-show? Come on, now another sub. You love to see that. Shout out to Carlton, to Rude Boy, to Blossoms, to Uncle Timmy's Cookbook, and Robert. They are our most recent subscribers. Why aren't you subscribed to Colts Talk? Be sure to hit that sub button right now.